Hey everyone, we have a new before and after. I want to introduce you to Joe. And Joe, welcome to the interview. I got your before and after, and I said I have to interview you because it's amazing. So I wanted to know your story. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened before as far as your weight and how it progressed, and then what you did.
Yeah, sure. I've always been in pretty decent shape, but over the last few years, I've noticed that it's been more of a struggle to keep the weight off. And to be honest, it's been a little bit harder for me to not cheat, so it's not been helping very much either. But I travel a lot during my job, and it just becoming more and more uncomfortable in the planes and my clothing, and it just I kind of hit a peak where I was at my heaviest, which was around 200, and started looking online and seeing what else is there. I really want to understand. In my business, I do a lot of root cause analysis, and I wanted to understand what is really causing me to gain weight. Everybody says sugar is bad and carbs are bad, but why is it bad? And I never really understood it. I never really got a clear answer until I stumbled on some of your videos and started understanding a little bit more about how the insulin affects it, and how the body actually works in that regard. So I wanted to test it out for myself and started doing probably pretty aggressively the ketogenic diet, including the intermittent fasting, and the apple cider vinegars, and pretty much everything that you guys have been mentioning. And I've done other, looked online to see if your information correlates with what other people might be saying, and sure enough, it's all over the place once you start looking for it. The nice thing about it is once I started it, you start seeing the effects pretty quickly. So that gives you the nice incentive to keep going. It doesn't take a month before you start seeing things like a traditional exercise program where you actually gain weight before you actually start seeing the fat come off because your muscles are getting bigger. You start seeing the effects quickly, and I didn't want to spoil the results by exercising at the same time. So that's all I've done was the diet and following the routine with the intermittent fasting. Other than going out for a walk, I didn't do anything else.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're basically your job. You're in the plane a lot. You're traveling, probably hotel, restaurants, the whole thing, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm eating out all the time and have constant temptations, and sometimes I don't take a lunch, or sometimes I unfortunately go out to the restaurant at the end of the day, and I'll go to town on a big plate of whatever, and usually involves a lot of carbs and buns and whatever you can think of. So it's actually kind of nice doing the intermittent fasting included with this process, because I don't even have to worry about lunch. Like I don't even take a lunch. My lunch is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometimes even later. And then I was pretty aggressive with the intermittent fasting, where I was only giving myself a 4-hour window to do what I needed to do, and just kind of eat everything I needed within that period of time. And then sometimes on the weekends, I'd give myself 8 hours. It didn't matter what I did. It really seemed to help out a lot, and I've had more energy than I could think of. I mean, I was always coming home and staying on the couch, or just exhausted on my way home from work, and I didn't want to do anything. Now I'm out doing yard work and everything, and I haven't even eaten anything all day.
That's amazing. So you're basically just running on your fat fuel, which has actually, it's a better quality fuel source too. You don't get the highs and lows. When you at your peak, how tall are you?
5'8".
5'8". Okay. So then, so you started this. Did you start intermittent fasting right off the bat, or you just kind of gradually phase that in when you started to do the ketosis?
I pretty much started doing, I don't know, maybe within the first week.
Mm,
I mean, it was pretty, it was almost immediately.
good.
Yeah, and I didn't have too much of the withdrawal from the carbs and stuff like that. I mean, for a few days maybe, but I was able to transition into it pretty quick. I think that once you're committed, it makes it a lot easier. And
Yeah.
for me, I mean, I got kids, and they got donuts all over the place and cookies and whatever you could think of, and so I was able to do it. So that excuse doesn't work. You know, as long as you're committed, you should be able to do it.
Absolutely. When's the first time that you would eat? Would you eat at lunch, or would you have a breakfast and then do four? How would you work that out?
So normally what I do is that I skip breakfast. I don't have a breakfast, so I call it my lunch and dinner. My lunch is at 4 o'clock.
Wow. Wow.
So, you know, just before I leave the office, I'm pretty much having my lunch. You know, I'm working during lunch. I just keep working, and it kind of works for me because a lot of the plants and facilities that I support, they're in different time zones, so I don't have to worry about lunch. I just work through it. And then I'll eat maybe 2 or 3 hours later my dinner. So sometimes it's kind of hard to do, but there were days where I just had one meal. You know, as long as I'm hitting, you know, I think I went to an online calculator, and you know, I'm supposed to be consuming about 1,600 calories a day, just as long as I'm targeting around 75% fat, around 20% protein. And then my target was like 20 grams of carbs a day, taking into account fiber and all that stuff from all the vegetables and so on.
Wow, that sounds really cool. Yeah, the other day I was flying, and there was a day where it was about 12 hours of flights, and luckily I found a meal where there's like a low-carb burger thing, and then the next meal was basically 4 avocados and this guacamole. Like, it was huge. It was so much food I could barely stuff my body, but it kept me going like through the night to the next day. So when you would eat your first meal like at 4, would you be hungry through the day, or do you get to a point now where you can just go and you don't have that hunger or cravings?
Now, it got to the point where I had to force myself to eat.
Okay, good.
I mean, there's some days where I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I can probably eat at 12 if I really wanted to, but then once I don't, and then I'm good till 4. I don't know, maybe I smell something in the office or something like that. I don't know what it is. But then, you know, I get home and I'll just, before I go out and cut the grass or do something, I kind of force myself to eat something, so that way I still stay within my 4 hours. And if for whatever reason I did eat a little bit later, well, then I just move my 4 hours.
I know the feeling, because there's times where I'm like, you know, I'm not even hungry. Might as well eat something, you know. So what would you eat in that meal? Give me an example, like at 4, what would you eat?
So I really, I'm more of the liver type body type. So I'd make sure that I don't have more than 3.5 ounces of protein. I eat a lot of nuts, meats and chickens, but a lot of salads. I started pounding the salad like you're recommending, so that way I can get my vitamins. Make sure I put the oil on it, oil with a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and just have a big plate of that and a small little bit of meat, where I was always the opposite. I have big meat, potatoes, and that much salad. Now it's the opposite completely. And the nice thing is I'm also looking at, you know, more of the proper types of foods. So trying to get the eggs that are not caged chickens. And I did a little bit of research on what the actual difference was between the two, and that was pretty interesting. And yes, it's more expensive, but the nice thing is I'm eating less frequently, so it's not like my grocery bill's going up 3 times the price. I'm actually eating a little bit less, so yeah, I mean, that's basically how it is. And then I use MyFitnessPal to track everything that I'm doing as best as possible in a scale. So I'm weighing everything. Like, some people think I'm chopping up peppers and everything that you could think of, putting a little bit of nuts and everything on a salad, but I'm weighing every single piece of it into my salad. Like, I'm getting that strict on how, like, I'm just not eyeballing it. I'm actually weighing it to see what the numbers, and it's nice to know that, though, because then you get an idea of portion sizes visually. Once that's completed over and over again, now I know how much a handful of pecans is. I don't have to weigh it necessarily, and then I can kind of speed up things a little bit. But at the beginning, you'd be surprised on how much carbs is actually in a green pepper. People are like, "There's no carbs in green pepper." I'm like, "Yeah, there is." So you have to be a little bit careful about all that.
I totally agree. So then, because I saw your initial picture and then the post picture, do you get any people that coming up to you that knew you before and going, what the heck are you doing? This is incredible.
Yeah, actually, pretty much everybody. And the nice thing is I just saw them 2 weeks ago. So it's not like I'm not seeing these guys for months at a time. Like they're like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like we went swimming like 3 weeks ago, and you do not look like the same person.
Wow.
And I'm just, I kind of let them know what I'm doing, and then all of a sudden it opens up a can of worms because I'm excited about it, and I kind of tell them what I'm doing. But the proof's in the pudding, right? So instead of telling everybody what you're going to do and how great it's going to be, I just wait till it actually happens, and then I tell them what I'm doing, and it's a lot easier when they see the results. And with my wife, I didn't pressure her into it at all, but she was very supportive and made all the meals the way I wanted it and helped me weigh things and stuff like that, even though she wasn't doing it at the beginning. But once she started seeing the results, then she's on it, and she still likes the pastas and stuff like that. So every once in a while she'll have that, but nowhere near where she was before, and she's seeing dramatic results too. And I'm slowly trying to get to the point where we can somehow figure out how to get the kids off the cereal and the pancakes and all that. So we're doing a lot of research online for alternative ways of making foods so we can get them off of it. My primary reason is because I just want the health benefits. I don't want the kids to get cancer. And, this looks like it's down the right path. If you kill the fuel source, then you probably won't get it. And we've got cancer in the family. Plus, just in general, being healthy and stuff like that too. Just to look younger and be stronger and all that good stuff. I don't want to have to rely on the next Snickers.
Right. I totally agree. Eventually, because I'm constantly doing seminars. I do a seminar at the breakfast table and teaching my kids over the years. So it finally sunk in, after some years. But you get them on board, and sometimes you have to wait till a little bit older. But I just wanted to bring one point up. You mentioned about the liver body type. Some people watching might not know what he's talking about. There's 4 body types. You got the adrenal, the thyroid, the liver, and the ovary type, which is more the hip weight. Liver is more of a protruded belly. So I wrote a book about the body types, but I just wanted to mention the liver body type requires a lot of greens, a lot of salad, not too much protein. But I would not recommend getting my book because it's outdated. Get the new one. It just actually came today, but it's not released yet. You have to, probably when you're watching this video, it's going to be released, but it won't be released quite yet, even though we have them. But this is like a new body type guide. And this covers all the nitty-gritty details that people need when they have a million questions about what do you do about this and how do you make this and all the details. I'm going to be putting a picture book with it that shows exactly what you talked about, like portion size. What does it mean when you have 75% fat? What does that look like? How much is 3 to 6 ounces of protein? How much is 7 cups of vegetables? Just to show people, to give them the picture, because I think that will save them time. So definitely stay tuned for that data. That should be coming out shortly. Of course, if you're watching this now, it's going to be already released. But adrenal body type in your picture, and we'll post a picture like you. In fact, I'll just pull up a picture right now. You can see the belly. That's more of a liver type. Not necessarily, you don't gain weight in your hips or your legs, right? It's in the belly, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's more liver type. And but in the book, basically we're bringing in an additional strategy, not just the body type data, but intermittent fasting, the right way to do it, and then ketosis, healthy ketosis, because some people, what they do is they don't look at the quality of the fats. They don't look at the quantity of vegetables. So Here they're doing the ketosis diet with 20 grams of carbs, but it's a small little salad. I'm like, that's not going to be enough, because you're going to dump a lot of fat to the system. You don't want to end up with a fatty liver. And you told me you're doing the opposite of vinegar too, right? So
Yes.
that helps to clean out that liver, so you don't end up with too much fat that's coming off your belly in through to the liver as it's coming out. So that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing. Before and after, when I saw that, I was like, impressive. I mean, who's going to argue with that? I mean, you could visually see, you got steps of what happened. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, it was, and I wasn't even going to take the photos. And that was the thing that I'm glad I did, because even farther down the line, I'm thinking, I'm not really losing anything anymore. But when you actually take a photo and you compare it, you can see, like my wife noticed, yeah, I can see definition now in your shoulder muscle and stuff like that, where I never even really noticed it before, and all that. So my next thing is that, starting like just literally 2 weeks ago, now I'm starting the exercising. So now I've got rid of the fat. So now if I exercise, I should see the change in my muscles a lot easier. So now there's my incentive to keep exercising. So I'm just going to keep riding the incentive train and keep expanding upon my before and after to see, okay, well, now what am I going to look like in 2 months when I exercise? Using the exact same diet, although I am increasing my my daily portion sizes a little bit to like 2,400 calories. Just tweaking it a little bit here and there, so I got the energy, but I really haven't had to do too much. My biggest struggle, though, is that trying to figure out the right time to exercise, because from my research, the best time to exercise is still within your fast. Don't eat before you still use the energy that you have during your fast, because your testosterone and everything is at its peak, and then eat afterwards. Well, it's kind of hard sometimes when I'm working all day too. So I'm still figuring that out.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Joe, because I wanted to bring a little point up, because in my videos I'm describing what you're saying. However, it sounds to me that you went in this without too much of a blood sugar issue. It didn't seem like you were too much of a pre-diabetic or hypoglycemic, because your transition was pretty smooth. So I think you can plug an exercise well within your fast. In fact, some of the other guys that are doing this now are losing even more weight. Not necessarily more weight, but they're just getting more lean. Because if you think about it, here you are in this fasting state, insulin is the lowest, then you add this exercise, it puts this growth hormone into serious high gear, spikes it way up. And so they usually do it, actually, what they'll do is they'll eat like at 11 o'clock and then at 3, and then they'll work out in the evening, like at maybe 7.
Yeah.
They're burning fat all night long. They wake up and they're like, their stomach is like getting leaner and leaner each day. So I don't think you're going to have a problem. I think the main thing too is the time it takes to adapt to doing it on a fasting level. Like, for example, if someone were to do it too fast and they had a blood sugar issue, they would tap into their glycogen reserve and end up with a low blood sugar and feel dizzy and all this other stuff. But if you could actually train yourself over time, if you had a blood sugar issue, you could literally work out in the middle of fasting and just switch right to your fat burning and not have to end up with a low blood sugar issue. So you'll just burn fat faster. There's several studies out there right now with endurance athletes that are able to not end up with that massive blood sugar depletion and any side effects at all. They're just burning massive amounts of fat. And then what'll happen, though, you'll probably end up getting too lean, and you'll probably have to add a little more fat to the diet or more calories to keep up. But I think I'll be interested to see what happens if you start plugging in the exercise, and then maybe in a month from now, send me some more pictures or communication. I think you'll do quite fine.
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing. And so I'm expecting my weight to climb, but my body percent fat to keep diving. So that's why I kind of had that in my before and after to kind of track all that stuff. So that number should still keep depleting, but my weight will go up a little bit.
That's awesome. Joe, you're perfect before and after demo of how to do it correctly. So I'm impressed. Well done, and I appreciate the interview.
Hey, no problem at all. I'll hopefully keep in touch, and I'll show you what the results are in the future.
Awesome. Thanks much.
Yep.
Okay, have a good one.
You too.